And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Tuesday, April 2nd. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate, get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So with that being said, let's get into what we are going to talk about for today. So we're going to start off the show. We're going to talk about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. It seems that Dak Prescott is going to play under his current deal for the 2024 season, and then we'll see what happens after that. So we'll talk about that. Then in the second part of the show, I'll talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll talk about what they were initially planning on doing with Kenny Pickett when they signed Russell Wilson, as well as them pursuing wide receiver Tyler Boyd. Then in the third part of the show, we'll talk about the top revenge games for 2024, so I'll get into that as well. And then in the final part of the show, I'll talk about some of the moves that were made by teams that were looked at in a positive light, that were smart moves. And that will be how we conclude the show. But a couple of things I just wanted to get into to touch upon. One of them regarding Vontae Davis, who was a cornerback, hasn't played in the league for some time now. He passed away. He was found in his home in South Florida. He was unresponsive, and he did indeed pass. So my heart goes out to him and his family. To his family. Just unfortunate news, tragic news in the NFL community. I did want to read some of the quotes for social media posts that players posted about this, if I could find them. Because there were some players that did tweet about it. But yeah, that was some unfortunate news. I know. Well, the Dolphins, they tweeted something out. They said, "We are heartbroken by the sudden passing of former Dolphins cornerback Vontae Davis and extend our deepest condolences to his family and loved ones during this difficult time." Again, just tragic news in the NFL community, and again, my heart goes out to his family. I just wanted to mention that. And the other thing too is, I didn't mention it yesterday, but I am going to talk about the Chiefs at some point during the show today, about one of the moves that they made in the offseason. And that is regarding their wide receiver, Rashee Rice. So he was involved in a car accident, and allegedly he fled the scene of the accident, and police were looking for him, authorities were looking for him. Now, an article did come out that on NFL.com that he is cooperating with authorities following the reported crash, said his lawyer. So, that's something to keep an eye on too. I don't want to go into the specifics of everything, but yeah, it's not good. Not good news on that front. So we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, the Chiefs are waiting to see how that all plays out. But, not something that you want to hear either. So I did want to touch upon that as well. So with that being said, now let's get into what this segment here is going to be about. But I just wanted to touch upon some of these things because that's what's happened over the past couple of days. So, again, not good news on those fronts. But again, keep an eye on the Rashee Rice situation and how that all plays out. Let's get into now. Again, it's always hard to try to segue into what you're actually going to talk about when you touch upon things that are sensitive topics. But yeah, I just wanted to mention those two things. So with the Cowboys and Dak Prescott, it seems that he's going to end up playing under his current contract for the 2024 season. Jerry Jones stated, "We are where we are, locked and loaded for this year." Again, the all-in mentality. Dak Prescott is entering the final season of his 4-year, $160 million deal and cannot be franchise tagged next offseason. The Cowboys would carry a $55.5 million cap hold for Prescott in 2024, ranking second in the NFL behind Deshaun Watson, and would face a $40.4 million cap hit if he hits free agency. Extending Prescott's deal now is the only way to reduce those charges, but the Cowboys have not done so, indicating a potential upcoming parting of the ways after the 2024 season. Prescott's obviously coming off of an MVP season, passing for 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. So it's possible that Dak Prescott could be done in Dallas after 2024. And I think I have mentioned this, but it's kind of like, what happened with Kirk Cousins. Well, then again, the Cowboys did pay Dak Prescott, but now they have to pay him again. With the Washington, they just kind of were very fugazi with Kirk Cousins. They if that's the right word to use for that, because they never committed long term to Kirk Cousins, and then when they really finally had to make a move, they let him go, and he signed with Minnesota. And now, but I think it's because then again the market's kind of changing, and if Dak Prescott is really commanding for a $60 million contract, are the Cowboys willing to do that? I mean, I don't think Dak Prescott's worth $60 million a year. I think he is a solid quarterback, but I don't think he's a $60 million quarterback, because that kind of money you'd give to a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, a Joe Burrow. You're not giving it to Dak Prescott. You're just not. But that's what he could be commanding. And the Cowboys have to make a decision. Do they want to give him that, or do they want to go in a different direction? And, you go back to when Tony Romo was the starter and he gets hurt in the preseason of 2016. Dak Prescott, a fourth-round rookie, he steps in, right? I think it was the fourth round. He steps in and does a nice job, and Cowboys get the 1 seed, and then they lose to the Packers. But, yeah, then they moved off of Romo officially, and the rest is history. But, Dak Prescott and Tony Romo have kind of had similar careers so far where, yeah, Dak Prescott puts up solid numbers during the regular season, but you get to the postseason, and they don't get the job done. He doesn't get the job done. And that's like what happened with Tony Romo. I think Tony Romo only had 2 playoff victories. Dak Prescott, I think, only has... How many playoff victories does he have? I think he only has 2, right? 2 or 3. Because he won 1 against the Bucs. Won 1 against Seattle back in 2018. I think he only has 2 playoff victories. Yeah, I think so. Same amount of playoff wins as Tony Romo. So they have eerily similar careers when it comes to, well, at least when you look at the playoffs. And they just don't. Cowboys just don't perform in the playoffs. So, I mean, again, if they don't pay Dak Prescott, they let him walk. Well, what's the alternative? You got to figure out what your next move is if you move off of him, because you have a roster that can compete. The NFC East, right now it's really between them and Philadelphia. I mean, the Commanders, they made a lot of moves to their roster, but, they're rebuilding. The Giants, I mean, they're rebuilding, I guess, if you want to call it. No, they are rebuilding. That's your competition. The NFC, not a loaded conference. Now, it's going to be better in 2024. But they have a roster that can compete. You have one of the best wide receivers in the NFL in CeeDee Lamb. You got one of the best defensive players in the NFL in Micah Parsons. A defense that's opportunistic. Look at what Deron Bland did and all of his pick sixes. You're getting Trayvon Diggs back. They got playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. Now, again, I don't know what happened in that playoff game against the Packers. They just were not prepared at all. But we've seen Dallas's defense have games like that in the past. So this is a big year for Dallas. I mean, Jerry Jones is talking about them going all in. But that really set them back. I mean, when you got your owner coming out and saying that you're all in and then you make no moves, well, you're really aggravating your fan base. And they got a big decision on their hands because you got Dak Prescott that's going to want to get paid. You also have CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons. They're going to want new deals. Where is that going to leave? What's going to happen? Because, again, I'm going to say it. You can't keep everybody. You can't keep everybody. So, I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to pony up and give Dak the money, or is he going to walk away? Because teams always need quarterbacks. There are teams that always need quarterbacks. Now, again, wherever Dak Prescott ends up going, if he goes somewhere else, I don't think he's winning a Super Bowl wherever he goes. Unless, he went to, the 49ers or something. But they got Brock Purdy. So, I don't know. I don't know what teams would be pursuing him. I mean, you look at the Broncos right now. They need a quarterback. I know, the YouTubers I watch, the football YouTubers I watch, one of them is a Giants fan. And what if the Giants went after Dak Prescott? How crazy would that be if Dak Prescott became a Giant? After all these years of rooting against him and he comes to the Giants, I mean, I wouldn't really be that enthusiastic about it. I mean, compared to what the Giants have had, if they ended up bringing in Dak, it's an upgrade, but it's not really an upgrade that I think is going to propel the Giants to the promised land. But again, this is all just, hypotheticals. But, I mean, Dak Prescott will definitely have a market. There'll be a team out there that will give him money. If it's not the Cowboys. It's just what team is that going to be? I mentioned the Broncos. The Giants are another team, like I said, that, well, again, they're probably going to address it in this upcoming draft. I don't know. But if Dak Prescott ends up walking, what are the Cowboys going to do? Because it's not like, a Hall of Fame quarterback is going to fall into your lap. It's not going to happen. I mean, it's happened quite a few times for teams recently, and it's worked out, but sometimes it doesn't work out. You see what the Buccaneers did, getting Brady. That worked out for them. The Broncos getting Peyton Manning. The Rams trading for Matthew Stafford. Those all worked out. You got Super Bowl rings out of those. But then you look at, Drew Brees. I think when Drew Brees went from the Chargers to the Saints, I mean, he was good, but he wasn't the Hall of Famer yet, right? But then you have the Jets, who get Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, at least in year one didn't work out. Let's see what happens in year two. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Jerry Jones will tell Romo, "Hey, listen, come back." No, I don't know. Yeah, it's something again to keep an eye on. I mean, the organization loves Dak, but I mean, maybe $60 million is too much. That they're just not going to do it, and he might end up playing somewhere else. So, but I mean, if he goes out there and has an even better of a season than he did in 2023, well, maybe that might force the Cowboys' hand to give him what he wants. So, keep an eye on it. But, yeah, that's pretty much it when talking about this. Let me know what you guys think about the whole Dak Prescott situation. Will the Cowboys open their wallets and pay him what he wants, or is Dak Prescott on his way out in Dallas? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So, with that being said, we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. A couple of things with them, their initial plans regarding the quarterback situation before they pivoted and made a couple of trades, and their pursuit of free agent wide receiver Tyler Boyd. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.